Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Sweet Combat Season 1, Episode 2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, interestingly enough, the opening to this episode, obviously we're picking up immediately where the last episode left off, where we have Tion thinking about his family situation. And I brought this up last episode. I was like, oh, it's so interesting how they phrased it. Mom left and dad died, almost like that's the order it happened in. And it turns out we find out that's exactly the order it happened. I was like, interesting. Like I brought up last episode in the webtoon, Jaegu's dad dies first, and then sometime later, like his mom leaves. I don't think we ever found out like the exact circumstances of his mom like leaving. I'm not even, I want to say the most you got was like his dad being sick, I think. His dad might have been sick. I don't think it was an accident. I think his dad was just sick, I think. But we never got clarification on how his mom left. I don't remember if it was like she went out and just never came back. Like the whole stereotype of like, parent going out for some food and just never coming back type of thing. Or whether she snuck out in the middle of the night type of situation. I don't remember. But in this case, it's like, no, like Tion saw his mom leave. We even see him like kind of carrying his dad home because it seems like, oh, so his mom left because maybe his dad was a drunk. So it adds an extra interesting development to that. The fact is we're getting more on this makes me almost feel like we will probably get something with Tion's like mom in this. Like I said, it's kind of, I think I brought it up in episode 1, but it is kind of a spoiler, but not really. It's just, it's like, oh, here's a spoiler for something that didn't happen. Once again, Jaegu never like ran into his mom in the entire webtoon again. Like that was just never a storyline that was brought up. I wonder, was that something that the writer for Girls of the Wilds thought about, but just never had enough time to really dive into that and just make some of those, because sometimes storylines like that, you're like, oh, I want to flesh that out, but I just don't I don't want to mess with the flow of what I got for the story plan. I'm curious, or is it just a thing of, no, it fits more to just make her never pop up again. So that's why I'm curious, like, is how this show is going to approach this. Because when you look, like the look on her face as she's leaving, she feels bad about what she's doing. Once again, justified or not, she has her reasons for leaving. And I don't know if that's just whatever life is, it got hard. Maybe all he did was drink and she was struggling to keep things afloat and she wasn't happy anymore, so she just left. It's messed up, but she did what she did. Obviously, because the ages are different, it's interesting too, because once again, Jaegu was still like, he had to be like, what, 13 when his mom left in the, whereas in this, like, Tion is probably like, we have no idea how long it's been since his dad died. Well, he had to drop out of high school, like at least like the 2 years of high school. So it's probably a situation of they still might keep the 4-year period. It's just he skipped dropped out those 2 years of high school that he might have had left or something. I don't know. But they made that point last episode, so it might be like 2 years since his dad died or something like that. We haven't really gone over that. Is it really relevant? No, but I'm just trying to say, like, maybe representing the fact is he's a little older when his mom left. So is it that much of a difference? No, but that age difference still makes a difference. So being like 13 versus potentially being 17, you handle that a little bit differently, and the responsibility being on you, it plays out a little bit differently. It's still a lot to put on someone to be the sole caretaker of their two siblings when they're not even a full-grown adult yet, so there's that. But I thought that was so fascinating. I also thought it was interesting too when Tion like clenched his fist and like, because he was thinking about his mom, but he almost has like eventually like he has this eased up expression where I'm like, that's so curious. I'm curious to see, because he's recognizing, like, thinking back to stuff with Queen, and he's like, man, like, she does live like a queen, but he's also like, why did I call her a monster? And it's like, yeah, because she reminded me of my mom. That is something from the webtoon as well. Like, he associated not just women, but specifically Queen. Like, there was something about her that reminded him of his mom, which kind of, like, made the relationship, like, their like, early on relationship in the story kind of awkward as it is. So, but like I said, that relaxed expression makes me almost, because that's almost like Queen's the substitute for his mom issues, because it's like you have the same like look in your eyes, and it's just because I'm sure he's mirroring it like the way Queen looked at him versus how his mom looked at him when she left, and so he's attributing a lot of like anger he has towards his mom. But that's why I was like, the fact is that he kind of let that anger go for a minute makes me go, either Tion is like, okay, like I still love my mom despite how crappy the circumstances are, so that could play later on in the story if they decide to go that route, or it could simply be a situation of I've got too much to work on, I've got too much to study, got too much to do for me to be so caught up in my anger, I just gotta let it go. So I thought that was interesting. And staying on Tion really quickly, we find out in this series his dad's a boxer. Once again, his parents got no, like, Jaegu's parents got nothing in the webtoon. So, like, for us to find out, like, oh, once again, Tion is athletic because his dad was a boxer and he boxed a little when he was a child. And it seems like he's either kept up with it or he still has some of those instincts we see later on. We'll get to when we get to it. But I think that's so fascinating, making his dad a boxer. Because that's the fighting style Jaegu, like, goes closer to in the webtoon. That's mainly because that's the one that, like, Moon Young, like, kind of pushed him towards. Obviously, she being the boxer, it makes a lot of sense. He appropriated some other elements to some of his fighting style because his is very much in the Queen vein of becomes very... His basics are, like... His fundamentals are boxing, but he does have other elements of other martial arts mixed in. So I thought that was interesting. But like him gravitating towards boxing, they make it even more of a thing of, well, he's got the innate thing because of his upbringing, because of his dad. So and I'm assuming his dad's career as a boxer is what led to like maybe some drinking issues later on down the road, like life just hit him hard and maybe wasn't winning the matches anymore. The glory days kind of behind you type of thing. Which makes me think, like, since we are spending time on Tion's parents, it makes me wonder, are we going to get introduced to the others' parents? Like I said, in like Moon Young, we meet her dad. We hear about her mom being a boxer too, but her dad's a boxer. Dao Dao, you kind of find out about her circumstances. You mainly meet her mom, you meet her dad a tiny bit. So my point is, like, using the equivalencies in the show, like, will we meet Yanan's parents at all? And in Xiaomi's case, will we meet her parents? Like I said, I'm so curious because of how they're handling Hao's mom being like, oh, the noodle person and cooking. I wonder, will that even be a part of Xiaomi's character at all? Cooking at all? Plus, but like more so like her mom having like the cooking show and stuff like that. So that's what I'm really curious about. But yeah, I thought that was such an interesting thing, making it so that he had to those are some really fascinating changes. Then we also have this situation of Tien wants to like get away from the school because he's like, I don't want to be around Queen anymore. So he wants to kind of drop out. But like the director is like, okay, you want to do that? I understand. All you have to do is sign this form and put it in a mailbox. But like the mailbox is guarded by students, which once again, Tion's able to handle himself. This is where a massive difference, because Jaegu had no fighting experience whatsoever in the webtoon. So for like Tion to have like some pretty good moves until he comes across, was it like Cheon Hugh, who's like, she's like, oh yeah, like I'm the first. She made it seem like she was like implying like I was like the first champion at this school, which I was almost wondering, like, is she supposed to be like the Ina character? Like I saw her name written just as Na, but like in the webtoon I think it's written as INA, like, so it might just be pronounced Na, but she's like one of the main security people you like recurring throughout you see pop in from time to time. The coach, Hiei-shin's coach, her and Minam's coach, the guard that he's super in love with, that situation. Her, like, I wonder if she's supposed to be the equivalency, because it kind of feels like that. I don't know. I don't think they're going to really lean into like the guard angle like they did in the Wilds in the webtoon, but I thought that's immediately what my brain went to. But yeah. And I love that he went back to the director. It's like, you lied to him. He's like, hey, I didn't lie to you. I told you what you had to do. I might have just omitted the fact is you have to go through like 5 people to get towards a mailbox. It's like, that's super twisted to make that the thing. But I love, he's like, hey, how about we do this? I know you want to transfer to a different school. How about we do this? I'll prolong your, like, yes, because of a scholarship, it's mainly paid for, but you still have to pay at least like 30% of the fee. How about I make it so that that fee doesn't come up for 30 years? You'll be practically going to this school for free. And it's like, oh, that was enough to entice entice him, because it's like, yeah, that's 30 years you don't have to pay your tuition, and it's like also no interest either. Like, it is a still like, hey, I get this education for free, and I get to, like, you know, any money I make now I could put some away for later and later and later, while also, you know, not only just to pay off this loan later on, the student loan later on, but also just it helps keep money in our pockets now to keep us afloat, you know, until things are better off. So it's a win-win all around. And you know, the fact is, we get more with the director and the headmaster makes me wonder, are we going to see them a lot more in the show? Because in the webtoon, they're barely in it. They're only, I think you can literally count on one hand the amount of times either the principal or the vice principal pop up at all in the webtoon. And even when they do pop up, it's like a couple panels, you know, maybe like a page or two of panels. That's it. So that's going to be interesting if they really dive into that more. I love that we also do the bathroom situation, because it's like, yes, it's a college, a university with only females, and him being the only male here, they didn't like have it prepared ahead of time, so there is no male bathroom. So I love that the director was like, oh, like let's use your silhouette, and he has Tiong turn to the left and takes his picture, and then later on he's voting with the staff of, oh, which picture should we use? And then the headmaster is like, we're going to use this one, and it's like, oh, that's the one we're going for. I think that's the one they were all voting for either way. So I love that we kept the bathroom bit. They probably won't make it like, you know, crazy immaculate like it is in the webtoon, but yeah, I just love that being the bit, because it's like, yeah, he kind of has no choice, which leads to him eventually running into Queen in the bathroom, because she has a very special bathroom of her own, which I love the reveal of why that is the case. I don't think the webtoon ever covered that, but it turns out she got her own bathroom because she would hold, or like she wouldn't use the bathroom at all, and which weirdly enough, I was the same way in high school. Like, I was weird about, like, I would just go the entire day never using a bathroom, and my body just got so used to it. I still, like, my body still kind of operates like that now, weirdly enough. But either way, because of that, like, she was so embarrassed about using the bathroom around other people. Once again, just like her not being normal. I guess at home it's just like, yeah, you never have to worry about that. So, but yeah, because of that, they built her a bathroom, because she was like, oh, he's claiming I'm a queen. He's like, I didn't have much of a choice, because it's like, oh, this is like, because she's such a high level student, you know, especially in the martial arts side of things, it's like, oh, like, she gets her own bathroom. But I'm like, because that's something, like, the bathroom situation, other than, like, it being the gag that it is, it's something that's never really brought up too much, because I think she does have her own bathroom, but I can't remember. I can't remember if, like, she does actually have her own bathroom, or whether it's a situation of they just happen to run into each other in that particular bathroom. I don't remember what the situation was in that regard. Still somewhat awkward run-in in that capacity of like, oh, is it, you know, oh, is it you, Yanan, hand me my bathrobe? And she finds out that it's Tion, and like kicks him in the chest for being in the bathroom, and now he's looking down upon her because it's like, oh, here you are acting like a queen and stuff. But yeah, like I said, she had no choice. Dude, there's so, oh, and she's also avoiding, was it Zhao Feng, who's like once again the Haitian like equivalency, because she wants to show up there as like, yo, I want to fight Queen in the competition. It's like, well, Queen, because she's top level champ and everything, she automatically gets seeded in the finals, and she gets to choose her opponent. That's like the right she has. So I wonder who's her opponent that she's going to choose. I'm curious to see if they keep it the same as they did in a webtoon. I definitely see it where they are currently. I could see Queen where things are currently still choosing that same person, so I'm curious to see if that ends up being the case, especially if it means she could avoid being around Zhao Feng, because she wants to not deal with her at all. So we also get more time with Hao, which I loved. Like, first and foremost, he's getting like dropping out of like school. We like the only explanation we got is it's about animals, and it's like I don't know if it's like a, oh, like these school, like, you know, because there's I never had to deal with it, but there is the high school thing of, oh, you have to, like, maybe like a biology class or something, you have to cut open a frog or a pig. Like, I never had that in high school, but like that's always been like a stereotypical thing. Maybe it just depends on what, like, if you go to like a city school or something like that other people have had experiences with that. I never had that experience. So, but it's like, it seems like it's animal related. It's the reason why he has issues with school. And his mom's like, I get it. I get that you love animals and you're kind of sensitive in that regard. I love that about you. But, like, he's like, well, maybe I'll just work here with you. He's like, if you were just going to work here, why would we spend all this money trying to get you an education and sending you to school? And his mom is smacking him and everything. And it's just like, she's like, Mom, please don't beat me. And she's like, I might just beat you to death, So later on, because of all of this, I was like, wait, they're not going to send Hal to the university, are they? And they do, because they're all about, like, right. Because the headmaster saw firsthand, like, oh, here's the math class, and Tion answered the question correctly, and everyone's like, ooh, impressed, and it's like, ooh, having Tion here is such a massive, like, the girls, they probably never really cared too much about math, but, like, his studiousness might, like, rub off on them, so, yes, the girls probably never really cared about math, but now we can potentially get them to care about math, so let's invite other male students, and they put out a post of, like, right, as long as you're 22 and under, you can come to this university, and Hal's mom sees it, and they're both happy about it, which I'm like, dude, that's such a massive change that now Tion doesn't have to be the only dude there, because in the webtoon, once again, kind of a spoiler, but not really, the entire, like, 95% of the series, Jaegu is the only male at that school, only registered male, because of competitions as well as, like, training in the gym and just other things. There'll be male characters around, but registered students at the Wilds, it's only Jaegu until, like, near the end of the series, and then like 2 very specific characters transfer to the Wild. So that's interesting, making it like, nah, like it creates an interesting dynamic, especially because this entire episode, Hal and Tion never ran into each other. It's a massive campus surrounded, like, there's a whole bunch of students. Like, of course you're not really going to know, because I think Hal thinks he's the only male student, even though you hear some of the other girls being like, oh my god, it's another guy here. So he's happy about it, which I love, that the very different reactions that Hal had his reaction, being very excited about it, because he's like, oh my god, I don't have to struggle when it comes to my love life. Like, I have so many opportunities. I don't have to start the initiative, because it's like, there's like opportunities all around, where Tion's a little nervous, like, why the hell am I doing the guy here? Two very different perspectives on it. So, because I saw in one of the previews, I was like, that looks like that was a guy in the boxing gym with Tion and I think it was Hal. And I'm like, okay, so that makes sense. There is another male at this school. That's such an interesting change, dude. I love that he runs into Queen and, yep, as expected, gets thrown, and he's so happy about it, which I'm like, is that going to turn into what I think it does? Because there's no real, like, well, I was about to say, I can't really say there's no other love interest when it comes to Queen, but that's a very different situation, and even I'm curious, like, if they're going to play into that storyline from the webtoon or not. But I like, it might even be a thing of like, oh, I like you for now, because it's like, oh, you're so fascinating, you just threw me. Oh my god, my puppy love journey starts here. So I don't know if he's going to be in love with Queen, and that's going to create a whole new dynamic with this live action, or is it going to be a situation of like, oh no, that's just like me being like, oh, I like you, but I'm like, oh, there's so many opportunities around to jump on stuff. So, which sounds weird to say, but I'm so curious to see where that goes. We had the whole situation of people trying out for clubs, and it's like, right, Queen and Yanan put on their performance, and obviously with Tion there, like I said, being captivated by it, and Queen was distracted because she saw him there, and it's just his eyes looking at her that way, and then him turning away, like, it irritates her and bothers her so much, because she even said, like, if he looks at me like that one more time, we're gonna have a problem, And to be fair, that was like while she was in the shower, before they, like, seconds later run into each other again. So but then, like, he runs into Xiaomi, who's like, oh my god, check out Taekwondo, we're great, let me show you what we can do. And now it's like Xiaomi and Yanan, like, fighting over him to join their clubs, because that's like, the club memberships is something we never really got to focus on in the webtoon. I feel like you meet, like you never really get to know them as characters, but you do from time to time see the Taekwondo club members more than you do the boxing club members, because the only boxing club member you consistent like ever really saw in there was like Jaegu and Moo Young. Like, other than that, like, you never got to meet some of the other students. Like, you did, like, maybe once or twice. Like I said, the Taekwondo you saw a few more times, but not that much more. So, I doubt they're going to be just background characters. Even if you do see them, it's not going to be, like, consistent. Because I'm like, the clubs are there, but they were never like a massive part of the story. So it's going to be interesting to see if the live action covers it. But I love that Jaegu was like, yeah, I'll join the swimming club. I'm not going to join either one of them, because turned them both down last episode, turned them down again. What I think is so interesting too is like he wants to join the swimming club. I'm like, you have a swimming club at this? I was like, interesting, because I cut it out of my video when I was talking about finding out about this live action. Because I was talking about Girls of the Wilds and found out about this live action and everything, right? So I cut it out of the video because in the description on the synopsis on Wikipedia it says a sports university, so it made me go like, oh, is it not martial arts? Which it turns out it is. It's fighting sports here, sure, but there's other things too. We just never really, once again, like everything at the Wilds was built 100% around martial arts. We never got to, I mean, to be fair, like the Taekwondo and the boxing club are the only ones you actively met. There were other ones, like, was it Wushu? Like, there are members of the Wushu and Kendo club, but you never... No, I think it's all, like, it's all the same. Like, that all got put under the same, like, umbrella of the Kendo club, I think. Because, one of the members is the older sister, and then, like, a new member first year was, like, her little sister. I wonder, will they really be characters? Because they are only in it a tiny, tiny bit in totality. So it's actually kind of sad when you think about, like, some of those characters you never got to, like, her, like, the first year who's, like, the glasses and who's a wushu master, like, martial artist. You never got to spend a lot of time. Like, you only saw her, like, rarely throughout the entire series. It's fascinating. Interesting. Either way. So I wonder will characters, like, versions of those characters pop up in this or not. But like I said, the other clubs were, like, never really a thing. And that's why I'm like, the clubs in general, like, other than being a setting, you never really got a lot of the club activities unless it was, like, relevant to where the story is. So once again, out of any of them, the boxing club is going to be the one you spend the most time with. Like, definitely in the webtoon. I'm curious if they're going to do that in this series as well. Something I think is kind of like a slightly massive difference, but at the same time, it's like, it's happening sooner rather than much later. But the fact is, our trio of heroines, Yu, Yanan, and Xiao Mi, are all hanging out together later on. Because, like, in the webtoon, Moon Young and Dao Dao, like, had a very love-hate relationship. They were, like, fine with each other, but they constantly butted heads. Dao Dao and Queen had, like, no relationship. The only reason why she was ever really around Queen was because of Moon Young, but even then, she was only around Moon Young and Queen in general because of Jaegu. So, like, they hung out together because of Jaegu, and that ultimately ended up making them get closer. It seems like they already have a pretty decent enough established relationship, or at least, like, she's just like the, oh, I pop up, I'm here, oh, look at me, I'm so pretty, I'm so cute, I'm the one that should get this ice cream because it's pretty and cute and it represents me. It totally doesn't fit someone like you, Queen, which, you know, plays into her story of being like, growing up like a boy for so long, and it's like, I can't be pretty and cute. Same thing for Yanan. It's like, yeah, it doesn't fit you either, you know. And she even says later on, once again, I love that being like a part of her character of like, yeah, like her insecurity in this is just feeling like she's not feminine enough. And she's like, yeah, it brings out like the cuteness of like, oh, I'm capable of being cute and pretty, and it fills my heart with cuteness and spreads it around. But yeah, like constantly, like, Xiao Mi is putting her down, being like, nah, like you're not cute. Me, pink and cute, right, like that's my demo, that's me 100%. It doesn't fit you at all. But yeah, they end up running into Tion, who during the delivery stops a bullying situation where, once again, he's not being bullied, which I even thought was interesting, that the director was like, hey, like, you stay at the school, you won't get bullied anymore. He's like, oh, thanks. But I guess it's not something he had to worry about. Like I said in episode 1, it seems like that's an element from his story they're just straight up removing. But even him stepping in to, like, defend someone else, Jaegu only did that situation mainly because it's like, right, he was the one getting bullied, and then like his siblings got wrapped up in it. That's the only reason why he ever got in the mix of things. He never, you know, at the very least at the beginning, he never actively went out of his way to help other people. So for that to kind of be a thing of like, oh, let me interject in this situation, but then he gets chastised by a group, and luckily our trio steps in, and they kept it consistent of the girls aren't supposed to fight outside of the university. But it's like, yeah, as long as we don't get caught, it's fine. And obviously, like, Yanan had to yell at Xiao Mi because she was like, shut your mouth. They wouldn't have known that we can't fight outside of the university if you hadn't run your big mouth. But it's like, okay, let's defend. It's self-defense now, and they whoop their asses. And I even love that Tian ended up helping Xiao Mi with a soccer ball, which I'm like, I don't think, like, what, I'm like, that's so fascinating. I'm like, is that pulling for something specific from the webtoon? I don't think it is. But speaking of the webtoon, it's interesting because Dao Dao has an interesting connection with soccer that I'm like, is that why? I mean, it could have been anything, but, you know, I guess it's just like the sportsmanship of it all, but still just, it's significant that he would save her with a soccer ball. That's why I'm just so curious. I'm like, that's so funny how, like, what soccer means to Dao Dao, like how that connects into her story without, you know, going into it until, like, we potentially get to that point in the story. I won't go into it, but it's like, there's a level of, like, did you do that on purpose? Once again, this show came out in 2018. The webtoon was already, I mean, once again, I don't know what, like, a Chinese production is like, so I don't know, like, when did they start making this? Like, was it even, like, was the webtoon still going on while they were in, like, production for it? Like, it might have came out in 2018, but, like, did they start writing it and filming it, like, 2017? Like I said, I don't know, like, how big their production window is between, like, was it greenlit, like, let's do a live action while it's still going on or not? Because there was like a 2-year period in between. So it could have been a thing of, because of where the story goes, they could have added that in, being like, oh, this is kind of foreshadowing something later on. Once again, I'm probably reading way too much into it, but just kind of an interesting thing to think about. But I love Xiao Mi does the classic Dao Dao thing of like, oh my god, thank you for saving me, and grabbing onto the arm. It's like, oh, that was Dao Dao's like default position, was constantly grabbing on the Jagu's arm and just being so happy and everything. It's like, you know, so I love that a lot. Queen just kind of be annoyed, like, oh, I helped out and everything, but it's like, she doesn't really get any gratitude. Once again, we'll probably pick up immediately where that scene leaves off, starting at the next episode. It is interesting, like, when you, like, I've noticed that more with, like, certain, like, Korean, like, I haven't watched enough Japanese stuff to notice that, like live action stuff. I haven't really seen that, but, like, I've watched some K-dramas that are like that, and maybe that's a very, like Asian, like, cinema type of thing when it comes to TV, where it's, like, how this episode began is like literally like the tail end of the previous episode. I've seen that with like another show that I'm like, oh, that's so interesting that like they do it like that. I mean, funny enough, webtoons sometimes do that as well. So it's actually interesting to think about. I mean, I get it. It's like, right, because they want it, probably because like this aired week to week or something, or maybe day to day, and you're just like, oh, let's like recap it a little bit, like lead into where this like scene left off in the previous episode, but also kind of give you the rest of the context of where it ends up going. I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see where that ends up ultimately taking us, but some very, very, very interesting developments. Oh, really quickly before we end it, I almost forgot another element I want to talk about. We spend some time with Queen's brother. He's like at a meeting, and he's kind of just playing a game, but he's talking to everyone there, and he kind of makes them answer this question of like, oh, like how many pieces of corn or whatever would this person, like this monkey or whatever, like peel in this orchard, and it's like, oh, this amount, and it's like, the right answer is none, because there isn't any corn grown. It's like, right, you guys are all about the analytics and stuff. So he's like, you're so busy looking at this from a data standpoint, you need to put yourself in the positions of a kid, of the youth playing this game. It's kind of like, or like he's playing the game, but I don't know if like I don't think the business stuff has anything to do with a game, but I think he's like, whatever they're trying to approach, they're trying to look at it from a youth-based perspective, but all you're focusing on is the data. So kind of giving you a little insight into like her brother handling a lot of business stuff, but still just kind of being young. Like, obviously he's not as young as he is or at least doesn't appear to be as young as he is in in the webtoon. So like him handling a lot of the business stuff and it kind of falling on his shoulders while also trying to have some form of just being a kid and enjoying himself just correlates a little bit more with the whole like Queen just wanting to be normal thing. So just some very interesting little scene to kind of add in there. I thought was kind of neat, but I'm very excited to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.